Hey guys, welcome to Celia's playlist. Today I am here with R&B artist Jefe Chindrix. He is from Cleveland, Ohio. How's it going? How's it going? How's your day?
Hello, hello. It's pretty good. Thank you for asking. How's your day going?
It's good. I love these days because I get to learn so much and get to know
Yeah.
such cool people. So
hmm
I'm glad that you're here, and I would love to hear a little bit about your background in music.
Um, so I guess I started music, I would say two or 3 years ago. Um, because I used to write a lot, like poems or literature, books, things like that. And for me, I was writing to consider like a outlet type of thing. But it didn't, I guess, fulfill me as much as I hoped it would. And then I have a buddy who is in music or was in music at the time, and he asked me, have I thought about, writing over like an instrumental or a beat? And I said no, and then he's like, well, here, why don't you, try one? So I took it, and then yeah, after that, I've just been doing it ever since. So that's kind of how I got started. My family is also musically inclined, I guess could be the word. I have a bunch of relatives who either play an instrument or is a singer, or I have a cousin who's also a director in his like opera that he runs. So I guess it's always been in my, I guess you could say, but I never actually tapped into it till recently.
That's really cool that you had that influence around you and you were able to adapt what you were passionate about and bring it into music itself.
Right.
So I want to hear a little bit more about the fact, we'll start with the fact that you are a writer at heart. Because you mentioned books, you mentioned poetry. Before getting into music, what types of things were you writing? And what's kind of your style? Is it more poetry or long form?
I guess it would be one of my English professor in college was one of the main reasons why I wrote a book, um, because it started out as like a project, like for school, and then he told me that he really enjoyed it, and it did like also back to the whole like feeling better outlet type of thing. He said if you enjoy doing that and creating stories, you should expand on that. So it took me a couple years, but one it went from a little project to a whole, like I said, to a whole literature or book. I do enjoy poetry. Uh, I like I like reading it. I haven't actually wrote poetry in a while, but I would say that was probably where I first started out doing literature. As far as literature goes, was poetry, and then like I said, for our school projects and everything, kind of expanded from there. So shout out to Toby. But yeah,
Toby seems real cool, and I
yeah,
like the way that that was phrased. Expand on this because that could mean anything, but then that's kind of wherever you take it, which is really
right,
cool.
yeah,
So
expand.
yeah, expanding is a really cool word for that. Do you think that the writing projects and the poetry and things like that you had in the past was kind of influential in your current writing style?
I would say so. And the reason why I say that is because I try to I think like most artists, I try to paint a picture or have a visual throughout a song, so that not only people can follow along and hear it, but they could probably also visualize it. Or I also want to be able to like put them in my shoes, type of thing. So when they hear a song, they can close their eyes and be like, "Oh, okay, I see, what he's rapping about or singing about, or I've been through that also, and blah blah blah." So it's kind of, um, I would definitely say that has definitely played a big part in like how I write now, because yeah, like writing stories and literature, is very big on like being descriptive and being able to show that visual through words. So it's,
That's really cool. And I like how you mentioned kind of essentially creating aesthetic isn't the right word, but maybe like the world within that song,
Right.
like that, putting in those details, putting in those little things, whether it's in like the words itself, or the instrumentation and the atmosphere
Mm-hmm.
that people are stepping into for that song.
Right.
So, like, I like that you brought it up as like details, because it's putting in the details, it's thinking about the experience, and also figuring out ways for people to connect.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you try and incorporate when you are in the creative process to do that?
Hmm. Um, I would say I tried to. I guess it would be like going back with the description, or even the what people have encountered, or the familiarity of like our experiences. So like, just for I guess a basic example is like love can be one. You know, everybody's been in love. Everybody's has heartbreak. Everybody has found the one, or at least they thought they found the one, things like that. So I try to, depend on what I hear or like feel from either the instrumental or the beat that I'm listening to. I try to say like, okay, how can I express myself along with helping someone else who doesn't know how on this beat or on this instrument? Because some people, they love music so much they just don't know how to uh, create, and for me as an artist, I want to be able to like also communicate myself, but also help somebody else be like, sometimes you'll hear someone and say, dang, why didn't I think of that? Like those words, you're like, how it's crazy that they were able to compile like those words with this beat or the instrument. So it's like the same thing. It's like I want to be able to, for someone to say like, man, the way Hefe did that song so great. Like I wish I could put that together myself. But like that's exactly how I be feeling. And I don't know how to express it. So I think that's kind of when I when I start writing. That's kind of like my mindset.
I gotcha. And I feel like, sometimes people like they really connect to music for that way.
Mm-hmm.
Or in that way, because like sometimes you can't find the words, and like,
Right.
the ability to have someone who is a writer, who is able to communicate, who is able to put things to words, is something that is like a super, like, meaningful thing to
Yeah.
a lot of people. That's why certain artists have such dedicated followings, because
Mm-hmm.
they understand. So I
Right.
think that that's really cool that like you're able to kind of embody that in your
Mm-hmm.
work. So that's
Mm-hmm.
really awesome.
Yeah.
Um, I guess my follow up question to that would be like, where do some of your inspirations come from on I guess the musical side, the beat side?
Right.
Because obviously you're taking these words and you're putting them over
Mm-hmm.
music
Right.
to create the entire experience. So where do those inspirations come from?
I would say in the very beginning, like I grew up on like Kanye, Drake, uh, the Weekend, and then as I've gotten older, like more recently, uh, I've been listening to a lot of like Labyrinth, and there's another artist named Brickens, Ryan Hall, and those type of like, and they're all from different genres. For one, so like I try not to limit myself. If I feel like maybe I could create a song over a pop beat, or over a rap beat, or over a country. I want to try and do it. Because you just never know what you can like create from that. So I would say in the beginning it started out with like those were the guys who influenced me, and then like as I've gone on, it was kind of slowly changed from just one little lane into a whole wide spectrum of artists.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. That's really cool. So I want to move forward to the studio process. Like, how did you create your vocal sound? Because I know that that is also a part of the story, and I know that you also work with a friend of yours for
Mhm.
producing. So how did creating your sound come to be, and then also how is it working in the studio with someone that is producing with you?
Yeah. So I would actually say I think like I'm very close to my sound, um, because like I mentioned before, I'm still relatively new, so like I still think I'm very close to knowing like what my sound is. I think uh, obviously I have songs out and you can hear my sound, but I think I actually in the very beginning wasn't big on singing. Um, my producer buddy, his name is Cam Ezra, he was very big influence on like me singing. Him along with a couple of other people, but he would just give me all the encouragement. Like, you should just try it. Try this note. Just to hear what it sounds like. Or try this, try that. And I was so against it for a long time. And then one day we just kept going, kept going. So I was like, all right, let's just give it a shot. And then it didn't. It was good. It didn't. It was better than what I myself thought it would sound like. And obviously, he already knew what it would sound like. That's what he was trying to get me to sing. And then it's still to this day one of my uh, most played songs on SoundCloud. So like he was he was pushing me in the right direction. And it also just helped me realize that um, try those things out, like try to test those limits. That's what I was mentioning earlier about like if I hear country instrumental, maybe I'll try and make a song with it because you never know like what'll come out from it, and it could be better than what you originally expected or hoped. So yeah, the studio process is a lot of like let's just try. That's I'm big on that. Like, let's just see what it sounds like, blah blah blah. Because one thing can lead to another. And I've had times where I go into a session and I'm trying to make this certain song that sounds this certain way, and then once you start doing like, okay, let's just try this, let's just try that, it ends up being something completely different and even better than what I originally planned. So um, just trying to be loose and creative in the studio is probably the most important thing for me.
It sounds like you don't limit your creativity in your
Mm-hmm.
studio sections, which is
Right.
really cool. Which means that, like, it could be anything, but it's going to be the product of something that means something to you, which is really cool.
Right.
So, like, that's like it. Not a lot of people get that freedom of creativity. Like
Mm-hmm.
they can be creative,
Right.
but having someone to enable that, not enable, but like just
Mm-hmm.
like
Support it.
facilitate that
Yeah. Yeah.
is
Right.
very helpful.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
really glad that you found someone that, understands you and understands your vision, because that is a really important part of the process.
For
So,
sure.
like, I want to move a little forward to, I guess, now the theoretically you're in the studio, the song is done. How have
Mm-hmm.
you been getting yourself out there as an artist? What has been some of the ways that you've embraced doing that? You did mention SoundCloud was one of them.
Yeah, so I try to SoundCloud is one of them that I use, but I try to distribute my music to as many platforms as I can get on. So obviously all the main ones like your Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google Music, all that kind of stuff, etc. And then also when I'm on social media, if I ever see like Threads, for example, their algorithm is like um, now it's tailored to like me always seeing music something. So if I ever see someone saying like, "Oh, let's follow each other," or "Oh, send me your music," I'll instantly just always send it, 1 week
That's
or
how we
something.
met.
Yeah, yeah. So prime example. So and then same thing on like the other social media apps like Twitter or X. I don't know what people use, but on Twitter and X, and then on Instagram, try to same thing, like try to look for people who maybe are into like reviewing songs, or will take a 30-second snippet of your song and listen to it and get feedback. So I try to any opportunity I see now, I try to at least throw my link out there because maybe the person who made that tweet or thread won't look at it, but somebody maybe go through it. Well. So that's like my hope.
I think that that's smart, because especially with something like Threads, like people go
Mm-hmm.
through the comments. Like I've gone through
Yeah.
some of my posts and I've seen like people like things, and I'm like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
good. People are making
Right.
connections. We love
Yeah.
that."
Interactive.
It's it's one of those things. I feel like it's how who you never know who the right person is going to be.
Right.
And the more people that hear it and the more people that see it,
Right.
that's just increasing your odds. So I think that you're making the right choices in terms of that. And I do have one more question. With I saw your social media, and you build like aesthetics
Mm-hmm.
in the things that you put out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you go about that process as well?
Um, I try to, I guess you can say, call it like strategy or plan. Like I try to do stuff where the other thing is too is kind of similar to the aspect of like I'm in the studio and I said, like, let's just try. Um, I have friends that I do some of those reels with, some of the music videos and stuff. So when you are working with people who are um, serious about what we are doing, whether it's shooting a video, making a song, but at the end of the day, they're still your friend, or like you guys have that level of like we're cool. A lot of times the creativity kind of just expands and explodes because no one's afraid to give a suggestion. Whereas like sometimes when you're working with someone and it's all business and you never met them, you don't know their personality at all. You may not be inclined to make a suggestion because you're worried like, I don't know if you have that boundary, let's crossing the line, that kind of thing. So with my friend group and people that I do this stuff with, what happens is that there is no boundary, there is no crossing the line, everything's on the table. So when that happens, you usually end up making something authentic or creative, and like you said, like aesthetic, and that's how it comes about. It comes from like I said, there is no limits. Everything's on the table, and nobody has an ego or anything like that. So that really helps me, or us, I should say, when we go to like create that kind of stuff.
That's really cool, and I'm glad that you have a community around you to do that with. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
very important.
Very important. So, I'm gonna ask you the question I ask everyone on this show, and you can take this in like any direction that you would like. If someone was going to try and start getting into music now,
Mhm.
what would your advice to them be?
I would say, I mean, the generic answer is just go for it. Like it's with anything. If yeah, just go for it. Try it out. It may not sound what you hear in your head at first, but that also doesn't mean that it's not good. I think sometimes people get worried about like, I mean, I want it to sound like this and it doesn't, so that automatically makes it not good. But that's not true because there's so many people who have their own lane or niche that you can still reach, or like you can still tailor to and everything like that. So um, even if that means like only 10,000 people like your song, that's still 10,000 people. That's still a good amount of people that you reach. So definitely do it because I think the more creative you are and when you do create, it almost feels like a win. Like when you make a song and when you make a video, you're always happy at the end of it because it's like my vision came to life. This is what I was hoping for, blah blah blah, and you get that like you want to do it again feeling like in your brain because it's like a high almost in a good way. So I would just tell people definitely do it. You have the capability of doing it, and your path is different from everyone else's. So that's how I would say.
I think that that's all very good advice. So, thank you for sharing that. So,
Mhm.
Jefe, where can people find you and where can people follow you?
So my social media stuff is Jefe Chindrix, Jefechindrix. Like I said, on every social media, so Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, that kind of stuff. And then as far as like my music, it's on all major platforms. So whichever one you use, or even just Tidal, Spotify, like I say, Apple, YouTube Music, that's where you can catch me. And then there's some visuals out also as well.
Awesome, awesome. So, thank you for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it, and I loved getting to hear more about your story. I wish you tons and tons of luck.
Thank you.
And to everyone, you're welcome. To everyone watching, make sure that you're following him because, you never know who's going to hit it big. Maybe it's Jefe Chindrix.
Yeah,
So,
that'll be good. Yeah, that'd be good if that happens.
hey, you never know. Maybe one of the people
Yeah,
I'm interviewing on here is going to be super famous very, very
great.
quickly. Who knows? But to everyone watching at home, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys at the next interview. Bye, guys.
Mhm.